All right, I'm pretty sure we're live, so we can continue the conversation that we were having yesterday, or we can talk about what I named this was business management best practices, and really we are just having a normal conversation like we do. And
Mhm.
one of the breakthroughs that we've come up with this week, and it's something that we've always kind of known is a best practice, but now we're actually starting to implement. And that is, whenever it comes to bonusing a team member or creating any bonuses within a team, it should be based off the bottom line profits of the company, not the gross top line. So, when you're setting revenue goals, it's not so much, hey, look how much we made. That's great. But look at the bottom line. Back out all the expenses that it took to make that money. So back out the expenses for office, back out anything office related, anything payroll related, anything marketing related. And that's going to give you a more accurate number to set for goals and to establish bonuses. Um, so I thought that was a good finding of ours, and that's something we worked on this morning. And really, we are doing two podcasts today, so maybe we can use this opportunity to talk about what we're going to talk about on the podcast. And I think it should be a continuation of what we talked about yesterday, which is why single family real estate, in our opinion and experience, is proving to be the best asset class, especially post pandemic, plandemic, or whatever we're calling it. Um, so, what's on your mind, RJ?
So we were talking about yesterday, like most of the residents or prospects that we have, it's interesting, are coming, a lot of them are coming from apartments. A lot of them are coming from, you know, half duplexes or whatnot, um, from downtown or the downtown areas. And I think it's just a correlation of like what's going on downtown. A lot of the prices downtown have just gone up. And now that everybody's working from home, we have the opportunity now to go out into the suburbs or even out farther than that, 45 minutes out into areas that are going to give you more space, more of the rural areas of Columbus, and so we're seeing a trend. We're seeing people because now we're in, we started in the inner city and now we're in the B class and more A class suburb areas of Columbus. And that is kind of surprising because now we're seeing an uptick in those type of prospects where we saw before it was a lot of like house to house, we're going from maybe a starter house to another house, but we're seeing that coming through more in the last couple months. We're seeing that they're coming from apartments, they're coming from duplexes, a lot of them are coming from downtown, so it's interesting to see that.
People are fleeing apartments for many reasons, and my thesis is number one, people there. I mean, I personally, and I won't speak for you, but I'm not afraid of COVID or connect. But some people are. So some people don't want to be in an apartment living situation, number one, because you're so close to your neighbors, people are crawling all over each other. Number two, just like you mentioned, people are working from home, and therefore, especially if it's mandated homeschooling, I know how hard it is. We got a 6-year-old over here, and he's finally going back to half school, whatever that is. I don't know. It's all dumb to me personally. Um, but it's very difficult when you're trying to homeschool somebody, you're trying to work from home. Um, and it would be even more difficult in an apartment living situation. So that, and then like you mentioned, downtown, I mean, so people used to pay a premium to rent apartment space in downtown areas. The reason people would pay that premium is because they're close to amenities in any downtown type of environment. You're close to shows, you're close to sports, you're close to downtown bars and parks, and it's a whole thing. Well, all of that's gone now, right? So people, the lure to the downtown areas is lost its luster. Nobody certainly doesn't want to pay a premium to live in a place where the crime has never been higher than it is right now. It's absolutely insane in most cities. And the amenities are gone. So people are looking at it like this: hey, if I can pay this premium price, well, that premium rent amount, that could afford you a lot of house outside of the city, especially if you're buying a house, because interest rates are completely artificially low. When I say artificially low, um, that the Fed and everything like that, we get into this stuff, like they need to, I mean, the right thing to do is to raise the interest rates, but that would cripple the economy. But so interest rates are officially or artificially low right now, and that just means affordability is high. So you can afford, people, instead of paying $2,000 a month to rent some downtown place, they can use that $2,000 a month and buy a 3,000 square foot house in rural areas, like you said, outside of the city. That is the lure now, because people want the space because they're working from home. People want the space because, if they gotta teach their kids and do the homeschooling thing, people want away from the crime. People want pets. Here's an interesting fact: the demand for pets is at a 20-year high because people are lonely. People are home. People want a dog. People want a cat. So. And you can't have that in apartments. So that has been, and then from a real estate perspective, like being an owner operator of real estate, I think owning a bundle of single family homes is a better play than owning a apartment building. And the argument, an apartment building, and believe me, I'm not hating on apartment investors, because it's still a good play. It's still real estate. You're still going to get a lot of the benefits, tax benefits, and everything that we get with houses, and you can scale much faster with apartments. But I prefer, a bundle of single family houses. The financing's better, more exit strategies. You don't have your tenants communicating with each other like they could at a, with a big apartment complex. RJ, what are your thoughts as far as preferring to own single family houses over an apartment building?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. So it's exit strategies. When you want to get out of a couple houses, you can pair off a couple. You can maybe sell five that, and you want to free up some liquidity. And you can't really do that with apartments. You can't just sell half of the apartment. So then that leaves you with less options. And then the financing that's out there, yeah, I mean, right now it's really low. The rates are really low. The financing now more than ever is available. And you and I've learned through the years of doing this that when you have more options, it gives you a little bit more peace of mind, and it doesn't pigeonhole you, especially when in times where there's things out of our control, and if we have to sell off a house to do that, it just feels better. So it's a peace of mind thing, and I like having options, just like you.
Absolutely. And another thing is, there's a way more of an abundance of single family houses that you could get good deals on over apartment buildings. People are paying way too much for apartment buildings. Yes, you have your experts out there, experts that we're very good friends with, people like Tim Bratz, people like Corey Peterson, people like Randy Lawrence. These are people who we highly respect, but they're the unicorns in the business, right? I mean, they're out there finding great deals. There's only so many apples in the tree, though. There's just not a lot of great deals. Those guys know how to buy them and do this. But for somebody who's like just kind of starting in the business, or just kind of like trying to get their foot in the door and own some real estate, stick to houses. Not to mention, you can buy houses way more creatively. You can take them subject to, right? We do this stuff all the time, and that's where basically the original seller's loan is left in place, and now you're the owner, and you just continue making the payments. The debt stays in their name. It's a very good play, very good way to acquire houses. You just can't do that with apartment buildings. Sure, you could work out some owner financing. You could do that with houses though too. So the big argument, it would be, to a commercial investor as well, you can scale much faster. Well, that's true. And some people can handle that, like some of the pros that we've named that we know are very good at this business. However, scaling too quickly, and we've been doing this business, RJ, together for 8 or 9 years now. Scaling too quickly could sometimes be a blessing, but it could sometimes be a curse. In your experience, RJ, what are your thoughts on scaling appropriately?
Yeah, you gotta before you go too big, you gotta make sure you have enough staff, and your processes need to be in line with that. So we all have, as entrepreneurs, we all have big ambitions and huge egos, and so we think that we can take on the world. Well, it's good to have confidence, but it's also good to be smart and take the appropriate steps to take down a really big, package of homes or a 200 unit apartment. You need to make sure that you have enough capacity, like human capacity, and also your processes are in place. So what we've found, and what our mentors always told us, is that make sure you get really, really good at your people and processes before you start getting really excited about the next shiny object. And when we got our start, we did just that. I mean, we started off with like 12 homes at once or something like that, and it was a big undertaking, and we learned a lot of lessons through that process, and so we just know a little bit better this time around.
I got a question. So if somebody was just kind of starting out, we've already established probably the best way to start out for I would say your first 20 properties, stick to single fam, get your feet wet. If somebody's kind of taking on some rental properties, or maybe they're looking to scale their real estate business, in your opinion, what is the first team member that you feel would be the best to bring on? The very first type of staff member, team member, or help?
So if it's just your solo,
Solopreneur, and you're looking to bring on your first person, what do you think?
assistant, you need an administrative assistant, in my
Absolutely.
opinion, and then you can go from there. You can scale and maybe get maybe help with acquisitions. you know, and then start building that out. More deals that you get, more deals that you do through that, then you can get maybe somebody that's going to handle the dispositions of it. But I think an administrative assistant is so key because they can immediately be put in motion to handle all of your administrative tasks that really drain you, because as entrepreneurs, I think all of us are really good at sales. And that's what we probably should be doing the most when you start off. And then eventually you can put somebody in place to do that for you.
Do you think the person should be virtual assistant, or should it be a physical person, or
Well,
like a local?
it just depends. So if it's if it's a local person, you're gonna obviously pay a little bit more. And then going virtual, you don't pay that much, but then you need to have some um, parameters in place. You need to be very specific on what you're delegating out to that person, and then you also have to be able to check what what progress they're doing and what they're doing. Because a lot of times I know that most of the assistants that we have are overseas, and so there's that. What are they doing up at night while we're going about our day? It's daytime here, so there's a little bit of risk doing that. So we have things in place now to kind of check on them, not from a micromanagement standpoint, but it's more like from a productivity standpoint. Like what are they doing? What are they up to?
And real quick, you mentioned we have several virtual assistants in the Philippines, and we have some in Central America as well. And shameless plug to Mr. Robert Nickel, this live broadcast is brought to you by Rocket Station. Rocket Station, your leading provider in virtual assistants. Mr. Robert Nickel, if you ever get to see this, thank you for all the support, and thank you for being one of our proud sponsors here for this live broadcast. I agree completely about the very first team member somebody should consider bringing on is an administrative assistant. I also agree that when you're first starting, and just not even when you're first starting, it's like the sales it's your thing. Because if somebody's not selling, it's got to be you. That's your paycheck, and the three things that I've always, been taught is, what the owner operator should be focused on is making offers, right? raising private capital and just closing deals and selling deals, like whether it be wholesaling or whatever, right? You got to be closing deals, raising money, and making offers, because you're going to miss every single shot you don't take. You got to keep making offers constantly, and don't feel it's a, oh, they would never accept this offer. They will. The mentality that we live in, it's just, so a lot of people will take the quick nickel over the slow quarter. If you can offer somebody cash, that's why pawn shops are in existence. If somebody's, wanting to sell a guitar, they could put it on Facebook Marketplace, and they can deal with the buyers, and they can do the phone calls and probably end up getting more for the guitar, or they can just take it to a pawn shop and take a quick nickel for it, and that's it, right? So there's always going to be a market for somebody to take a quick cash deal, and that's what we offer as real estate investors, and that's how we're able to get good prices and good deals. So we'll get ready to put a bow on this thing. What else is on your mind, RJ?
Yeah, so I had a conversation yesterday with a friend, and hopefully he's watching this. And and I do these walks in the morning, and I really take care of my morning routine. And I was just thinking about some of the things that hold us back as entrepreneurs, and it's really us. It's you. We got to get out our own way. We're super prideful at times, and that gets in the way of growth. And we have to put that aside and really be open to listening to some solid advice from our mentors, from our friends, from our peers, from people that love us and stuff like that. So I just want to talk about that a little bit, but because we still to this day kind of still have issues with that, and we have moments of breakthrough when we talk about, like, okay, so that advice is really relevant right now when we're seeing a lot of growth, and we have to be open. You and I have been really good at that. Personal development's been a key part in our success, and then executing on that, but sometimes pride gets in the way. It does. It really does. We get in our way, in our own way.
We could have got a lot farther, a lot faster if we had addressed the ego before. That's why most business partnerships don't work out, is because one person always feels like they're doing more. One person feels like they deserve more, and things fall apart. Through our years, we've seen more partnerships fail than succeed, without a doubt. And I think the ego is a big part of that. And in the team, how many team members do we got now? I mean, I know, but I'll let you, we'll keep it a conversation going.
Yeah, I think we're up to, including virtual, I think we're at 9. Am I missing somebody?
9, and then there's us 2, which would be 11. So total in the company.
And we have a lot of vendors and stuff, so that's not counting, but internally, immediate, the day-to-day stuff.
Hang on, let me count. Walker, Isaac, David Shiner, Janine, Bell, Zeus, Leo, Alex. What did you say?
Sid,
Danny, Sid. That's 10. Ronnie is 11. Plus you and I. So there's actually total 11, 13 if you include us. Isn't that crazy? So when we first started out, I really feel like you and I went through the hardest stuff first. So I'm noticing a lot of people in business, and I encourage people to start out this way, as far as like start out wholesaling like crazy, right? Like start out, hang on one second. Excuse me. Yeah. So I really think a good way to start in this business is to start out wholesaling, start out flipping, start out like with a broker mentality where you're earning commissions or fees to kind of keep that money coming in. We started out as hard as the hardest thing, which is just jumping into C-class buy and hold. Like it's the hardest thing you can do. They don't cash flow. We were borrowing expensive money. But now looking back, that's kind of a blessing in disguise, because like we're not phased by, little problems. I mean, today it doesn't matter. I'm like just kind of calloused up. It's like coming from a tough neighborhood, like you're not really afraid, So I think, we started what a lot of people do, and kind of I think should kind of do, is stay with that wholesale mentality, stay with that broker mentality, make money, and then they start accumulating rentals one by one, here and there. I mean, we jumped right in. I think we bought, like, in 2012 when we first started buying houses together, we took down a package, right? I mean, tell everybody
Yep.
about that.
It was a package of homes, and at that point in time, one of the rougher parts of Columbus. But it was where our private money at the time, and the partnership at the time put us. And so we learned a lot. Learned a lot of from that experience. Learned how to manage properties, rehab properties. Learned how to deal with people. Learned how to deal with the phone calls. Learn how to manage the contractors. I mean, it was everything all at once. And luckily, we hung in there. There were moments, and I know where we're like, we got to sell something, or we're not going to eat.
I mean, we still have those moments. Liquidity is key. I mean, it's just it gets bigger. It's just when you got to make a move, the
Right.
moves are bigger, the swings are bigger, right? We've seen huge swings. I mean, just to hang in there, like for some of the times, thinking back through the years of like, oh my goodness, like, the swings only get bigger. But it's one thing I'm grateful about is throughout this COVID experience, we were kind of already making moves to go virtual. I'm still not 100% comfortable with the virtual experience. It's just like, it's tough, because I had just moved in with Lindsay a couple months before all this shit went down. Pardon my language, but I mean, it is what it is. We are live, it's just a normal conversation with Dave and RJ. So I was still getting acclimated in my personal living situation, and then to move the entire business virtual. I'm fine. I'm just becoming comfortable, quite honestly. Like, where I wake up in the morning, and I kind of like set up my day and what I'm going to be working on. But like, it's been tough. It's been a tough adjustment. How has the adjustment been for you in going 100% virtual since the Rona came into our lives?
Um, I mean, I think it's first world problems. It's not that big of a deal for me. And uh, there's times where there's a little bit more distractions. You have to shut the door a little bit and try to get away. And I miss the office. Certain aspects of it, yeah, but I like the freedom of having to, if we can manage the team virtually and not have to go to a physical office, this is the way, And so, like, especially right now, we've got some big family changes that are happening, and knowing that the team's taking care of the important matters, the day-to-day stuff, and they can do it anywhere as long as they have internet connection. And what's key for us is our boots on the ground that's out there in the field every day. And when it comes to, like, doing a lot more, seeing the wife a lot more, it's good. There's times where you want the space and you have the freedom to do that. You can get out and maybe work at the cafe or something. So the experience of going virtual, I think, is a blessing. I think as we're looking at reports today and looking at our overhead, it's drastically decreased, and so now we can put those the amount of money that we were spending into something else more better for getting more deals and marketing. So I I don't think going virtual was that bad of a transition. And from the feedback from the team, they loved it. And
Yeah, that is true. And I think the truest point is first world problems, without a doubt, is definitely what we experience. I mean, you know, What? I'm upset because no, there's nothing to be upset about. We got a lot to be grateful for is really the fact of the matter, right? And the team's embracing it. A lot of team members stepping up, and it's great for us. And um we had the conversation today of like empowering our team. Like I'm so tempted sometimes to just pick up the phone and call sellers, and like I get real impatient, I'm like, what's going on with this? And it's, but I've been holding back, and it's been serving us well and serving the team well to let them fail and let them, succeed, right? And it is all has turned out good. Another thing that when we were looking at those reports today in finances, just like expenses and everything, one thing that is kind of cool is, you and I were investing $40,000 a year in just travel, right? Like for masterminds and traveling and all the food and the Uber and like that's a lot of money, right? Like it was between 30 and 40,000 I was noticing. And I feel I'm just as productive, if not more productive, in a virtual environment. We've done several mastermind meetings now, Collective Genius, Freedom Founders. And I'm fine in my little home studio here, and I've been taking notes and learning. It was nice I did go to a mastermind, the family mastermind with Matt Andrews last week, but I got off the plane and I was like, I'm totally cool just doing this stuff virtually. So we're saving a ton of money with the virtual mindset. It is nice to see everyone without a doubt, but it all adds up to the bottom line. It's more revenue we can invest and we can grow. And so I'm grateful we went virtual, and both of us really enjoy the virtual lifestyle. So with that, we got more stuff to do. This was our first live Zoom, whatever we're calling it. And we got stuff to do. Any closing thoughts?
No, I think this is cool. I've never done like a Zoom Facebook before, so I'm looking for more of these. Enjoyed the talk as always. It's kind of like a day-to-day talk that I always have, so we might as well put it out there.
Yeah, and we should just keep it rolling. I did forget to record this, so we're gonna start over right now. Hang on. I'm just kidding. Anyway, peace. I'll talk to you soon.